Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying Model Behaviour, the Earth's mightiest action figure video podcast. So take off your pants, crack a beer, and let's talk toys. Let's talk G.I. Joe. My main man, Mark, recently sent me a whole legion of Cobra troopers, but that wasn't enough, because he said, you know what, Dave, you've got your Cobra army backing up Megatron. Poor old Optimus Prime is kind of outnumbered, but don't worry, I'm going to send you a whole bunch of G.I. Joes as well. Why? Because he's probably one of the most generous people I think I've ever met. God bless you, Mark, man. Thank you so much. This is amazing. I got a whole box of Joes. Let's go through them. Let's kick things off now with the main man, Flint. Now, I'm still learning about the lore, but I want to learn more about the lore because there's so much awesome stuff going on here that I want to appreciate the line more, because just look at what we have here. First of all, just the amount of layering going on with this character. There's so much stuff. Behold my stuff. He's got his basic clothes, and then he's got the flak jacket over the top, the belt as well. Everything's been so intricately sculpted on here. They really have gone ham on this figure, and this is something we're going to see going throughout the line. What I particularly love is that there are so many things that are removable, even his hat. Now that's quite unique. If it was McFarlane, you would have two different action figures. One with a beret, one without. God bless you, Todd. But this one, yeah, you actually have carte blanche. You can display him however you want. And then you've even got the little detailing on here that shows the design. So beautifully done. The face sculpt is that classic square-jawed, stoic, military, all-American type leader. And then everything else going on here. I really like it because it's very real-worldy. Yeah, I'm no military expert, but this all seems kind of like legit, not too sci-fi, not too unusual. This is what I would imagine a G.I. Joe type character wearing, just more so, more armor, a few more pads, just make it a bit more toyetic and interesting, but I just dig it. With the extra paint details as well, you got all the little bits of gold on the shotgun shells there, you've got the belt buckle too, and then with the shotgun itself, McFarlane, what you're missing out on. Badass artillery like this. This is just so cool. This is like a Terminator 2 Sarah Connor style sort of shotgun. Looks so wicked. Then you've got the pistol as well, which of course can be removed from the holster. He's got his two trigger fingers, so that's one thing. I think he only came with these two hands, and they're both trigger hands. So if he's not gripping a gun, it might look a little bit odd. Although I did find that you can give him a whole come here type pose. That sort of works with the trigger finger. But generally, if they have gun holding hands, I like to have them at least semi holding the gun. I love the slightly half withdrawing from the holster pose. It just looks kind of cool. But yeah, I really love this guy. As the centerpiece for the G.I. Joes to all kind of rally around, he looks so awesome. Now we've got a figure with a couple of pros and cons going on, and that is gung-ho. Now the main one, I'll address it straight away. This hat, it just like sits on his head. It doesn't really slot nicely in place like the beret does. It will fall off very, very easily. And that's kind of a disappointment because you want to be able to move him around and play about with him without it falling off all the time, or then having to like really push it on and balance it when you do get him in the pose you want. But still, that's not a huge gripe. But there is something about this character, Gung-Ho, that I'm not a huge fan of. Normally I would like big, bulky type characters, but I think that maybe because there is so much more surface area on display with this character, that's where it starts to feel like a little bit more plasticky. Whereas with Flint here, because he's smaller and there's more panels and things that break up the lines and have different colors, it doesn't look like there's too many big open areas of just shiny plastic. Whereas with Gung-Ho, I think because he's bigger, that's just a bit more surface area for things to look like they're just a little bit more manufactured. But I'm not going to hold that too much against him, but it's something that I'm just aware of. Like his chest here, it's very shiny. Whole lot of shine going on. Although the tattoo decal is quite cool. And then one thing that a lot of the Joes have is this kind of metal insignia sci-fi little bit here. I'm not sure if it denotes something or if it has some kind of practical purpose, but on the whole, I'm not a fan of that design, that style. I think it looks a little bit too sci-fi. I much prefer the more real-worldy looking characteristics of these Joes. But speaking of real world, the amount of great pockets and pouches and the leg strap, the thigh strap here, I think that's really, really great. Then you've got on the back so many, as I said with Flint, different sort of panels and lines that break up things. Then you've got the grenades on the side. Again, it's the amount of details and accessories really makes it look great. Then the head sculpt itself, I'm tempted to not have him wearing the hat because I really like the mohawk detail going on there and the grim, gruff sort of expression. I dig him. Two different guns as well. These do look quite plasticky though, because it's just one molded plastic color. There's no extra detail or anything on there. That would have been quite nice to have added that to them. So on the whole, this is a strong figure, but not one of the blowaway ones. And trust me, there are some that definitely fit that description. So now we got the other main man, it's Duke. And I understand sort of Duke and Flint are kind of a yin and a yang to each other. I'm kind of getting familiar with the characters and their traits, and I might be way off, but I'm still learning. This is an education. And this is the guy I always saw in my mind's eye as like the main man, the main G.I. Joe type person. And he certainly looks the part with that great Steve Rogers, Captain America style, blonde hair, square jaw, military man. This is the guy who's going to be running into the battle and kind of leading the way. And now what we've got with the actual figure itself, it feels, as I noticed with a few Joes, a lot of great sculpting going on, but also there's some limitations as well. Like this body, I think resembles more of an older sort of Marvel legend. You got more of a Bucky cap kind of feel to this with the shoulders, the way that they move. So there's not as much articulation as you get with, say, a retro Spider-Man that's got all the butterfly joints and much more movement in the chest. This one, maybe you don't need it quite so much because they're G.I. Joes. They're not going to be doing such Herculean gymnastic athletic poses. But it's something to bear in mind, certainly. But what this character does have is a lot more color going on. And I really like that with the beige top and then the green, the brown, the silver guards on the shins. There is a lot of different stuff to catch the eye and keep it interesting to look at. The gun itself, kind of like Long Haul's, is just plain silver. So nothing to write home about too much there. I think it's because I was looking at the shotgun first, which has the lovely barrel on it there with the pump action bit, with the gold on the shells. That really makes it come to life. It makes these ones look a bit more plain. But still, we're going 3 for 3 with great face sculpts. I think that just looks really nice. Just there's not a rrr, but it's not plain and bored either. It's just a stoic military dude. Like this is someone I would trust to get the job done. Whatever that job might be, it's going to get it done. Then there's actually some nice paintwork going on with the hair. It's not just plain yellow. There's some little brown flecks in there to give it more sort of texture. Of course, all the accessories you can remove, like the gun on the holster, which once again just gives it more feelings of depth and quality that really means so much. The leg holster itself is a separate piece you can move around, as is the belt, as is the shoulder strap. There's a lot of fun with this. Again, you got the little sci-fi type bit there. Not sure what that's in reference to. Someone might let me know. Or if it is just an aesthetic thing. It's like, hey, the Joes have these. I'm just saying, I don't think they really need them, you know? But again, it's such a small part. It doesn't detract from what is a really cool figure. Now, one of my absolute favorites right here, we get Scarlet. Scarlet, man, they nailed this. First and foremost, bam, female head sculpt that looks good. Got it right there. I think she's got this great sort of expression, which again is just a military person looking out ahead. And it's so difficult. That could so easily be just dead-eyed, nothing going on kind of expression. But no, I think there's some soul and some life going on in this, which is so effective. Now this, unlike the other Joes who are very green and camouflage and militaristic, bright primary colors, which really just brightens up the whole display. That's really, really nice. That was one thing I was finding with the Joes. I was like, I love these guys, but it's very uniform. My Cobras are all very, very blue, and my Joes are all very, very green. So it's great to have some more fiery sort of colors that really bring them to life and make them pop off the shelf more, with the gold and the red as well, little bits of blue in the boots there. This definitely looks more sci-fi, but I think that maybe because the whole costume looks a bit more sci-fi, I kind of dig it, as opposed to like military with like a bit of sci-fi going on. I don't know, maybe my eyes are just adapting to new styles. Speaking of new styles, it's new compared to Marvel Legends, but not new for G.I. Joe because it's the norm. Everything here is removable. All the knives, the bow and arrow, the quiver here, they're all separate pieces. She has so many knives stashed away that you're really spoiled for choice when it comes to options. I mean, you don't want to be in a fight with this girl. She'll stab you like in every different way besides any kind of good way. There is no good way to get stabbed. She's just going to stab you a lot, is what I'm saying, and no one wants that. Also, you've got this separate belt here, which just sits beautifully on her hips with a nice little gold buckle there. They really went the extra mile with the little freckles on her face too. That's a nice little touch, and then the great, bright, vibrant orange hair. You know what, Scarlet? Really, really love this one. I think if I'm going to order them, which I will do, she's going to go very high. Now, another one that I think falls slightly into the gung-ho type category of maybe a little bit too big for his britches is Roadblock. Roadblock's cool, like a cool character, and I do like that he's got a big and chunky, but as I said with gung-ho, it provides more surface area to not be filled with detail and texture, and that's where I feel like he's a little bit more plasticky than I'd kind of like, just because there's big swaths of his chest out here that it just seems like, it feels like more of a plastic action man. It's funny that in my British toy history mind, I was like, what does this remind me of? And I was like, yeah, kids' Action Man toys, which is funnily enough, like that's like Action Man, G.I. Joe. They're kind of like one and the same in many ways. So I was getting lots of vibes of that made it feel like more of a toy as opposed to an adult collectible, if you know what I mean. Because, I mean, come on, you know what I mean. These aren't for kids. What did he drop? He dropped something.
These aren't for kids. What did he drop?
His backpack. That's another point. The backpack, it does fit on, but like it doesn't fit too tightly, so it will fall off if you're not too careful with it. However, having said that about the backpack, again, the detail on there. He's got the shovel there for like, this is a great sort of camping backpack, and it's awesome that they obviously looked at military equipment, looked at stuff that people would wear, and were like, yeah, let's do that, because it's got all the practical things that you would have if you were out camping, just all melded into one nice little molded backpack there. So he's good. His face sculpt is decent, but actually he looks a little more bored than most. They all have fairly stoic expressions, I've found with the G.I. Joes. There doesn't seem to be any rah type Joes. They're all like, going into battle kind of look. Which, if I was going into battle with someone, I kind of prefer to be shoulder to shoulder with someone who's like, now let's go into battle, as opposed to some crazy person who's like, come on! It's like, oh god, he's going to get killed in an instant, and I'm going to be standing next to him. Whereas with this guy and the rest of them, I'd feel more confident. So yeah, with the huge big rail gun, again, it's cool, but feels a bit too toyish for me. Feels a little bit too sci-fi kids plastic toy. I prefer something that's not actually so overblown. So he's got a lot of good stuff as well with the removable knife, as everything is. That's just par for the core with G.I. Joe. I don't want to repeat myself, but they're good things that need pointing out. But on the whole, he's a good figure, but not as good as some of the best. The penultimate one now, we've got one of my favorites, Lady Jane. I think that they have just nailed the female face sculpts. Scarlet was terrific, but I think this is one of the best female face sculpts I've seen from Hasbro, be it Legends, Star Wars, whatever the franchise might be. This looks like a real person. This just looks like a real normal lady. And again, doesn't even look like super glamorous lady or comic booky lady. She just looks like a person that you would meet. And I think that's really cool. They've done such a good job of capturing a realistic human being. Bravo, you guys. That's why I dig this. Not to mention all the removable pieces, the accessories. She's got the backpack with this wonderful kind of communicator torch device here. Yeah, it's a torch. I'm sure there's some communication stuff going on there too. But really what gets me is the amount of detail in this human sculpt. The jumpsuit with all the pockets and the pouches. I keep discovering new things. I didn't even notice before, but she's got this knife here at the side, which of course you can remove again as well. It just makes it feel like when you've spent your $20 or however much it is to get this figure, you can go, yes, this is where the money went. Oh, look, there's $2 worth right there. Oh, look, there's an extra 50 pence there. It's just little things where you're like, yeah, I get it. As opposed to seeing something and you're like, what did this even cost you to make? Whereas with this, I'm like, no, I can see where my money has gone, and I'm very happy for it. And finally, what kind of a G.I. Joe team would you have without Snake Eyes and Timber as well? A Wowie. I've got a Wowie in the display. That's awesome. That makes me so happy. Snake Eyes, the ultimate badass of G.I. Joe. The silent ninja, okay? I'm not even a G.I. Joe fan. I know that he shouldn't speak. Snake Eyes movie. But this is just a great, sort of generic, in a way, a generic Black Ops type military look. I think it's kind of a shame that this figure doesn't have the cool, iconic Snake Eyes, pointed mask, medieval knight type helmet, but it's a different look. So if I had the original, I'd be happy to have a different look, but I don't have the original, and I'm a greedy little piggy, so I want both. But this, for what it is, as a standalone different version of Snake Eyes, they've done a lot of great stuff here. As you can imagine, everything's removable. He's got the guns, he's got the pistol on this side, he's got the knife over here. I think actually this pistol on his right leg, I'm guessing you can't remove that. But oh no, you can. Shut my mouth. There it is. It's because there's actually a pistol scope that is molded in there. So I wasn't sure if they were one piece or not. But no, Hasbro were like, I'm pretty sure we can figure out a way of making this removable. And they did. God bless you guys. You're really killing it. This reminds me a lot of Agent Venom. You could do a decent sort of Agent Venom custom using this. Or Spider-Man Noir, or any kind of, like I said, Black Ops type character. With the Uzi and whatever type of machine gun this is, I don't know guns. He just looks legit. It's not very exciting color-wise because, of course, he's the black-clad ninja. That's his thing. But just looking at the detail you've got going on here, you've got a little bit of white on the G.I. Joe sort of insignia on the grenade there. I think it's a G.I. Joe insignia. It's hard to say. My eyes are terrible from this range. I'm speaking like military sort of language now. At this range, his eyes can't make it. Yes, he's just too old now, long-sighted. But with the ski mask and still the cool kind of like face covering, he does look super awesome. And then, of course, we have Timber. And Timber, shiver me timbers, a fully articulated doggy. They could have so easily just done one molded piece for this dog or this wolf, because you see them in kids' toy shops all the time, just the solid plastic that's been put in a mold and painted. Whereas this, you've got the head, which actually it comes with a neutral kind of doggy head as well. But of course, the snarling one looks wicked. But the amount of articulation in this, each leg has like 3 joints in it. You've got the torso, the tail. There's so much going on here. They really went hard with it, and God bless them for it, because these two as a pair together look so awesome. So to rank these G.I. Joe, I think they're all terrific, but I'd say Flint is my favorite. With the amount of paint and color on here, with all the great military details, so awesome. Then second place, you gotta have for me, Lady Jane. I think the great face sculpt on here, along with all the accessories, mwah! Chef's kiss. Then the second lady, Scarlet. I actually love the bright, bold, fiery colors on here with the gold and then some random little blues thrown in just to make it more visually interesting. They've done a fantastic job with her. Then, of course, as a double act, Snake Eyes, and I paused for a second there because I was like, Timber! Snake Eyes and Timber. It's not the classic Snake Eyes design, but the figure itself is wicked, and the fully articulated wolf, super awesome. After them, we have Duke. I had to think for a second what his name was. But yeah, similar to Flint, but just, I think, a little bit more plasticky, because he's got the sort of exposed shirt that maybe it reflects the light a bit more, and I think it just doesn't feel just quite as good a quality as Flint does, even though it's really just a difference in design as opposed to quality. But the face sculpt is awesome. Really dig this guy. Then we've got our 2 big bruisers. So Gungho, I do love the fact that you can remove his hat. The face sculpt I think is really nice, and even though the torso is a little bit shiny, I think they make up for that with all the great details on his military combat pants, with the armor on the shins and the grenade strapped to his thigh. Still looks super awesome. And finally, we got Roadblock, who has a lot of great things going for him, but from all the characters, I think this is the one that feels a little bit more action man-y. I think there's a little bit more sort of exposed plastic that could have benefited from having more detail to it. The big gun, I mean, big guns are awesome, but at the same time, it feels a bit more like a kids' toy franchise, which, I mean, heaven forbid I buy kids' toys. These have to be adult collectibles, because if they're not, what the hell am I doing? So this is basically the least of an amazing bunch of figures, because right now, just like with the Cobra Troopers, Hasbro have just won me over to G.I. Joe. Normally, you have a franchise that you're obsessed with, and you buy action figures for it. It's very rare to be obsessed with action figures and then learn about the franchise. And that's what I'm doing in this other way. I'm finding out about the G.I. Joe lore, what goes into the stories, the characters, the histories, where they all came from, and that makes me appreciate the awesome figures even more. Whew! And guys, that does it for this incredible G.I. Joe unboxing. Mark, dude, thank you so much. Your generosity is insane. I have 2 teams now. I've got Megatron backed up by Cobra, and I got Optimus Prime backed up with the Joes, and that is just absolutely incredible. I'm in hog heaven. There are so many more figures I want to get my hands on now. Barbecue for the Joes, along with Zartan, Destro, so many. I'm not even going to start rattling them off. I am knee deep in Joes now, and I'm loving it. Guys, thanks so much for watching. What G.I. Joes do you think I should get to add to this collection? Comment below, let me know. And if you like what you see here and you want to see more, then join the 6-1 clicks by clicking the like, share, and subscribe button. And until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you really enjoyed it, then go over to patreon.com/displaying model behavior, where you can sign up and watch all the exclusive videos.
Hey, you sound very familiar.
Do I? I don't know why.
Try saying, "How does it feel, mighty Megatron?"
Oh, how does it feel, mighty Megatron?
Yeah, that's weird.